The Galactic Council's capital building on SciFiPrime stood in ruins, its golden spires broken and smoking. In the wreckage of what had once been the most powerful government in the galaxy, representatives from 100 species waited, nervously for humanity's judgment. President Jae-hoon walked into the great assembly hall where decisions affecting trillions of lives had been made for thousands of years. He was younger than Admiral Hyun-soo, chosen by the human survivors to lead them into an uncertain future. Behind him walked the rescued Earth children, now grown adults who carried the last memories of humanity's birth world. The alien delegates flinched as the humans entered. Some had fought against humanity and expected to be executed. Others had been neutral and hoped for mercy. A few, like the Zephyrians, had secretly helped the human resistance and prayed their aid would be remembered. "You are wondering what will happen to you," Jae-hoon said, his voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. "You are wondering if humans will be as cruel as the Council was to us." The Thalen representative, her pale skin even whiter with fear, spoke first. "President Jae-hoon, my people were forced to participate in the war against Earth. We had no choice. The Velkari would have destroyed us if we had refused." "I know," Jae-hoon replied calmly. "We have read your historical records. We know which species chose to attack us and which were forced to comply." He gestured to the rescued humans behind him. "These people spent 3,000 years in alien laboratories. They were tortured, experimented on, bred like animals. Some of them want revenge on every species that participated in their suffering." A murmur of fear rippled through the assembled aliens. "But," Jae-hoon continued, "they have also learned something that their captors never understood. Revenge without justice is just another form of evil." In the back of the chamber, Colonel Seok-jin watched with growing anger. He commanded the hardliner faction among the human military, soldiers who believed that mercy was weakness. They had argued for total extermination of all Council species. "This is a mistake," Seok-jin whispered to his aide. "We should kill them all while we have the chance. Show weakness now and they will unite against us again in a few generations." His aide nodded nervously. Many humans agreed with Seok-jin's position. After 3,000 years of exile and pain, the desire for complete revenge burned hot in human hearts. But other voices spoke for a different path. Hyo-jin, one of the preserved Earth children, stepped forward to address the assembly. She had been only 5 years old when Earth died, but her memories of blue skies and green grass had sustained her through centuries of captivity. "I was there when Earth burned," she said, her voice soft but carrying incredible authority. "I watched my parents die. I spent 3,000 years as a test subject in Velkari laboratories. I have every reason to hate all of you." The chamber was dead silent. "But I also remember what my mother told me before she died. She said that humans are not defined by what others do to us. We are defined by what we choose to do when we have power." Hyo-jin looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of aliens who had once considered her less than an animal. "Today, humans have all the power. We could destroy every one of your worlds. We could make your species extinct, just as you tried to do to us. But if we do that, what makes us different from the Council that destroyed Earth?" Admiral Threx, now stripped of his rank and sitting in chains among the defeated Council leaders, laughed bitterly. "Pretty words, human child. But power corrupts all species. Give it time and you will be just like us." "No," said a new voice from the entrance to the chamber. Admiral Hyun-soo walked slowly into the hall, his aged face showing the weight of 3,000 years of responsibility. Behind him came Dr. Do-yoon, Captain Eun-ji, and the other leaders who had guided humanity through its darkest hours. "We will not be like you," Hyun-soo said, stopping in front of Threx, "because we remember the price of being victims. We remember what it feels like to be helpless while others decide if we live or die." The Admiral turned to address the full assembly. 3,000 years ago, the Galactic Council made a decision. They decided that humans were too dangerous to exist. They chose fear over understanding, genocide over coexistence. Today, we make a different choice. He gestured to President Jae-hoon, who opened a datapad containing humanity's declaration for the future. "We hereby establish the human hegemony," Jae-hoon announced. "A galactic government where humanity holds ultimate authority, but governs through justice rather than fear." The terms were harsh but fair. All military forces would be disbanded except for local defense units supervised by human observers. Trade would be regulated by human administrators. Any species that showed aggression toward others would face immediate intervention, but civilian populations would be protected. Cultural autonomy would be preserved. Species that demonstrated peaceful cooperation would gradually earn self-governance under human oversight. This is not revenge, Hyun-Soo explained. This is responsibility. We have the power to shape the galaxy's future. We choose to use that power wisely. The Zephyrian delegate, whose people had secretly aided humanity during the war, raised her feathered head hopefully. What of those species that helped you? Will we be treated differently? Yes, Jae-hoon replied. Species that showed courage by opposing the genocide will become our partners in building the new order. You will have representation in the hegemony government. Colonel Seok-jin could not contain his anger any longer. He stood up and pointed accusingly at the human leadership. This is weakness, he shouted. These aliens destroyed our world. They murdered our families. And you want to forgive them? You want to trust them? The chamber tensed as human and alien alike wondered how this division would be resolved. Admiral Hyun-Soo turned to face the angry colonel. Seok-jin, you are a good soldier and a brave man. Your anger is justified. Your pain is real. But answer me this. If we become what they were, how do we honor the memory of those who died? By making sure it never happens again, Seok-jin replied. By being so strong that no one dares to challenge us. And how did that work for the council? Hyun-Soo asked quietly. They ruled through fear for 10,000 years. And where did it lead them? To paranoia, to genocide, to the destruction of a planet full of innocent people. The admiral's voice grew stronger, filled with the wisdom of ages. True strength is not the ability to destroy your enemies. True strength is the ability to turn your enemies into allies. That is how we ensure humanity's survival forever. The debate continued for days, with humans arguing passionately about the future of the galaxy. Some wanted harsh punishment for all council species. Others advocated for complete forgiveness. Gradually, a consensus emerged around a middle path. The most aggressive species, like the Velkari and Morthak, would be closely supervised for generations. Their leaders would be removed from power and replaced with more moderate voices. Their military capabilities would be strictly limited. More peaceful species would be given chances to prove their commitment to the new order. They could earn greater autonomy through demonstrated cooperation and reform. Meanwhile, human reconstruction teams began the monumental task of rebuilding Earth. Using advanced terraforming technology developed during their exile, they slowly restored the planet's atmosphere and oceans. The burned continents were renewed with forests and grasslands. 1 year after the war's end, the first human children in 3,000 years were born on Earth's surface. They played in gardens where roses bloomed under a natural sun, while their parents told them stories of the long journey through darkness. Admiral Threx, now serving as a laborer in the reconstruction efforts, watched the human children playing and felt something he had never experienced before. Regret. They could have killed us all, he said to his Velkari companion. After what we did to them, they had every right. Why do you think they spared us? His friend asked. Threx was quiet for a long time, thinking of the human children laughing in the sunshine of the world his people had tried to destroy. Because they are what we could have been, he said finally, if we had chosen wisdom over fear. Years passed and the human hegemony grew stronger. Trade flourished between species that had once been enemies. Scientific cooperation led to discoveries that benefited everyone. Slowly, carefully, trust began to replace fear. There were still problems. Some species resented human authority. Extremist groups on both sides occasionally caused trouble. But the overall trend was toward peace and prosperity. Admiral Hyun-Soo, now ancient beyond measure, stood in his private garden on the restored Earth. The roses were in bloom, just as they had been in the gardens of his childhood home 3,000 years ago. Was it worth it? Asked Dr. Do-Yun, who had become his closest advisor in their final years. All the suffering, all the exile, all the war? Hyun-Soo watched human and alien children playing together in the distance, their laughter carrying on the warm breeze. Ask me again in 1,000 years, he said with a tired smile. When these children's children have forgotten the old hatreds, when the galaxy finally learns to live in peace. He looked up at the stars, no longer cold and distant but warm with the light of hope. The alarm bells rang through the new dawn as Admiral Hyun-Soo gave the order that humans had waited 3,000 years to hear. Begin Operation Lazarus, all strike teams. Launch immediately. Across the massive ship, soldiers ran to their battle stations. Fighter pilots climbed into cockpits of ships that could disappear from sight. Special forces teams checked their weapons one last time. After years of planning, humanity was finally going to war. Jinho led the first attack team toward the Nephros shipyards, the largest military construction facility in Velkari space. His team of 50 soldiers traveled in a ship that looked like empty space. The Velkari sensors could not see them coming. "Remember, we have one goal," Jinho told his team as they approached the target. "Save our people first, destroy everything else second." The Nephros shipyards were huge, stretching across an entire asteroid belt. Thousands of Velkari worked there, building the warships that kept the Council in power. But hidden deep inside the facility was a secret prison where captured humans had been kept for centuries. At the same time, So-Young was leading her team toward Korath 7th, where Timon had discovered another human facility. Her ship moved through space like a ghost, using technology that bent light around it. Intelligence reports say there are at least 500 humans still alive in that facility. So-Young whispered to her team. "Some of them are children. We get them out no matter what." The third team, led by pilot Ace Dong-hyun, had a different mission. His fighter squadron was going to test humanity's new weapons against the Velkari fleet. His ships could phase in and out of normal space, appearing and disappearing like deadly spirits. "All teams, activate silence fields on my mark," Admiral Hyun-soo commanded from the New Dawn. 3, 2, 1, mark. Across 12 star systems, strange devices activated simultaneously. The silence fields were humanity's newest invention. Created during their long exile, they cut off all faster-than-light communication within a solar system, making it impossible for enemies to call for help. Suddenly, 12 Velkari military bases found themselves completely alone, cut off from the rest of the galaxy. Their commanders tried to send emergency messages, but nothing worked. They were trapped in bubbles of silence. Jinho's team struck first. Their ship appeared out of nowhere above the Nephros shipyards, and his soldiers rappelled down onto the facility like avenging angels. They moved with perfect coordination, their enhanced bodies faster and stronger than any Velkari warrior. "Where are the human prisoners?" Jinho demanded, grabbing a terrified Velkari engineer. The alien's yellow eyes went wide with fear when he realized what he was seeing. You are supposed to be extinct," the engineer stammered. "Death notice was greatly exaggerated," Jinho replied coldly, pressing his plasma rifle to the alien's head. "The prisoners now." The Velkari led them to a hidden section deep inside the asteroid. Behind heavy doors marked with alien warning symbols, Jinho found something that made his heart race. Hundreds of stasis pods filled a vast chamber, and inside each pod was a human being perfectly preserved. "My God," whispered one of his soldiers. "They are all still alive." But these were not ordinary humans. Jinho could see immediately that many of them had been changed. Some had alien features grafted onto their bodies. Others had been given enhanced muscles and bones. The Velkari had been using them as test subjects for 3,000 years. "Begin revival procedures," Jinho ordered. "Wake them up carefully, and prepare for combat. Some of them might not understand who we are." Meanwhile, So-Young's team was fighting their way through the research facility on Korath 7. The Velkari guards were well-trained, but they had never faced human super soldiers before. So-Young moved like a deadly dancer, her enhanced reflexes making her nearly impossible to hit. "The hybrid soldiers are in the next section," Taman reported over the radio. He was still disguised as a Velkari officer, leading the team through the facility's maze of corridors. When they reached the training area, So-Young saw something that broke her heart. Dozens of young warriors with human faces but alien features were practicing combat moves. They had been raised from birth to serve the Velkari, never knowing their true heritage. "Attention," So-Young called out, dropping her weapons and raising her hands. "My name is So-Young. I am human like you. We have come to take you home." The hybrid soldiers stared at her in confusion. Their leader, a tall young man with human eyes but scaled skin, stepped forward. "You lie," he said. "Humans are extinct." "We are Velkari." "No," So-Young replied gently. "You are human. Your DNA, your blood, your ancestors, all human. The Velkari stole you from us, but we have come to bring you back." Some of the hybrids looked uncertain. Others raised their weapons, still loyal to their Velkari masters. The moment stretched like a taut wire, ready to snap. In space above them, Dong Hyun was discovering just how much human technology had advanced. His fighter squadron appeared out of phase space right in the middle of a Valkyrie patrol fleet. The alien ships had no time to react before humanity's weapons tore them apart. "These new phase missiles are incredible," one of his pilots reported. "The Valkyrie shields cannot stop them." "Stay focused," Dong Hyun replied, even as he marveled at his ship's performance. His fighter could appear, fire its weapons, and disappear again before the enemy could target him. It was like fighting with ghosts. But the real test came when a massive Valkyrie battleship arrived to investigate the disturbance. The ship was 5 times larger than any human vessel, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. "All fighters, attack pattern Omega," Dong Hyun commanded. "Let us show them what humans learned in the dark." The battle that followed was like nothing the galaxy had ever seen. Human fighters phased in and out of reality, striking the huge battleship from impossible angles. Their weapons cut through Valkyrie armor like paper, while the alien guns could not even hit their targets. In 15 minutes, the mighty battleship was a burning wreck drifting through space. Back in the research facility, So Young was still trying to convince the hybrid soldiers to trust her. The standoff was broken when the facility's alarms began blaring and Valkyrie reinforcements arrived. "Look around you," So Young told the hybrids as explosions shook the building. "The Valkyrie are calling for help, but no help is coming. We have cut them off from their friends. We are taking back what they stole from us." The hybrid leader hesitated, then slowly lowered his weapon. "If you are truly human, then prove it. Show us what humans can do." So Young smiled and activated her combat enhancements. Her movements became a blur as she tore through the Valkyrie soldiers like they were made of paper. Her team followed her lead, demonstrating the full power of humanity's evolution. The hybrid soldiers watched in amazement as their supposed masters were defeated by beings that moved like lightning and struck like thunder. "This is what it means to be human," So Young said as the last Valkyrie fell. "This is your birthright." One by one, the hybrid soldiers knelt and acknowledged their true heritage. The rescue operations were successful beyond all expectations. Across 12 star systems, human strike teams freed thousands of prisoners and awakened hundreds of stasis pods. Some of the rescued humans needed medical treatment. Others needed psychological help, but they were alive and free. But the cost was steep. The Valkyrie now knew that humanity had returned, and they were far more dangerous than the species they had destroyed 3,000 years ago. As the strike teams returned to the new dawn, Admiral Hyun-soo received an urgent message from his spy networks. The Galactic Council was mobilizing the largest military force in history. They were preparing to finish what they had started. "Sir," Captain Yoonji reported as her fighter landed in the ship's bay. "The rescued prisoners are asking to speak with you. Some of them remember Earth." Hyun-soo nodded grimly. "The first battle was over, but the war was just beginning. Tell them I will see them shortly," he said. "First, I need to address our people. They need to know that everything changes now. The Council knows we are alive. They will come for us with everything they have." He looked out at the stars, thinking of the battles to come. "But they still do not understand what we have become. They destroyed a young species and thought they had won. Now they will face the grown wolf that survived in the wilderness." The news of humanity's return spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Within days, every member of the Galactic Council knew the impossible truth. Humans were alive, and they were more dangerous than ever. Admiral Threx of the Valkyrie Empire stood before the Council Assembly, his scaled face twisted with rage and fear. Behind him, holographic displays showed the wreckage of 12 military installations, all destroyed in perfect coordination. "The human plague has returned," Threx announced to the gathered alien leaders. "But this time we will not make the mistake of leaving survivors. We will hunt down every last human ship and burn them to atoms." The other council members shifted nervously in their seats. The Thalen representative, with her pale blue skin and white hair, spoke first. "Admiral, perhaps we should consider negotiation. The humans clearly have advanced technology. Maybe we can reach an agreement." Threx's yellow eyes flashed with contempt. "There will be no negotiation with vermin. We destroyed their homeworld for good reason. They are a virus that spreads through the galaxy, corrupting everything they touch." The Morthak swarm delegate clicked his mandibles in agreement. "The insect speaks truth. Humans multiply too quickly, adapt too fast. They must be eliminated completely." What none of them knew was that young He sat among them, still disguised as a Thaylen diplomat. She listened to every word, recording their plans for transmission back to the human fleet. While the council prepared for war, General Wu Jin was implementing a strategy that would turn their strength against them. He had studied 3,000 years of military history during the long journey through dark space. He knew that conventional warfare would favor the council's massive numbers. "We will not fight them ship to ship," Wu Jin explained to his officers aboard the New Dawn. "We will fight them like wolves hunting buffalo. Fast strikes, then disappear. Make them afraid of shadows." The first phase of humanity's asymmetric warfare began with Dr. Sua's biological weapons. She had created nanites that could only target non-human biology, invisible killers that spread through air and water systems. On the industrial world of Vectron Prime, Felkari workers began falling sick with a mysterious illness. The nanites attacked their nervous systems, causing paralysis and death within hours, but any human slaves in the area remained perfectly healthy. "The water supplies on 15 worlds have been compromised," reported one of Sua's assistants. "The nanites are spreading faster than they can contain them." At the same time, human sabotage teams were striking at infrastructure across the galaxy. Power plants exploded without warning. Communication arrays went dark. Supply convoys disappeared without a trace. The psychological warfare was even more effective than the physical attacks. Humans used their knowledge of alien biology and culture to create targeted fear campaigns. They broadcasted recordings of ancient Velkari war chants at frequencies that caused panic responses. They released pheromones that triggered mating behaviors in Morthak soldiers, disrupting their military discipline. "The enemy is everywhere and nowhere," complained a Thaylen general during an intercepted communication. "How do you fight ghosts?" But the council's response was swift and brutal. Admiral Threx assembled the largest military force in galactic history. 50,000 warships, supported by armies from every member species. The fleet was so large it blocked out stars as it moved through space. "If the humans want to hide in the dark, we will bring light to every corner of the galaxy," Threx declared. "We will scorch every asteroid, board every ship, scan every planet. When we are done, there will be nowhere left for them to hide." The strategy worked at first. Human sabotage teams were discovered and destroyed. Several spy networks were uncovered and eliminated. The Council's overwhelming force began to push humanity back from the core worlds. But strategist Minho had anticipated this response. He had spent years studying the Council's military doctrine, and he knew their greatest weakness. They always used the same tactics. "They think in straight lines," Minho explained to Admiral Hyun Soo. "They see a problem, they apply overwhelming force. They cannot imagine an enemy that does not fight the way they expect." Minho's plan was called the Earth Gambit, and it was the most dangerous strategy humanity had ever attempted. Instead of defending their generation ships, humans would abandon them as decoys while the real population hid in dimensional pocket universes. The technology was experimental and risky. The pocket dimensions could only be maintained for a short time, and if something went wrong, millions of humans would be lost forever. But it was their only chance against the Council's massive fleet. "Begin Phase 1, Admiral Hyun-Soo ordered. "All civilian populations to the pocket ships. Make the generation ships look like they are preparing for a final battle." The deception was perfect. The Council's spies reported that humanity was gathering all their forces around the generation ships, preparing for a desperate last stand. Threx ordered his entire fleet to converge on the human position. "Finally," the Velkari admiral said as he watched the tactical display, "the humans have nowhere left to run. We will end this here." The battle for humanity's survival began at dawn on the 4th day of the 7th month. 50,000 Council ships surrounded the human generation ships, preparing to deliver the killing blow. "Surrender now, and we will make your deaths quick," Threx broadcast to the human fleet. "Continue to resist and we will make your species suffer for 10,000 years." Admiral Hyun-Soo's response was broadcast across the galaxy. "We are human. We do not surrender." The Council fleet opened fire with everything they had: planet-killing weapons, fusion missiles, energy beams that could cut through star systems. The human generation ships fought back bravely, but they were impossibly outnumbered. One by one, the massive human ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The Council forces cheered as their ancient enemy was finally destroyed. Admiral Threx watched with satisfaction as the last generation ship died in nuclear fire. "It is done," he announced to his fleet. "The human plague is extinct. The galaxy is safe." But his celebration was short-lived. Sensors across the fleet began detecting energy signatures that should not have existed. Space itself seemed to tear open as human ships emerged from pocket dimensions. Not dozens of ships, not hundreds. Thousands of vessels appeared simultaneously across the galaxy, emerging from nowhere like deadly flowers blooming in the dark. The real human fleet had been hiding in dimensional space while the Council destroyed empty decoys. Now they struck with coordinated precision at military bases, government centers, and industrial worlds across 1,000 star systems. Young Commander Nari led the assault on SciFiPrime, the Council's capital world. Her task force of advanced human warships tore through the planet's defenses like they were made of paper. "All defense satellites destroyed," reported her tactical officer. "The planetary shields are down. We have a clear path to the surface." But Nari hesitated as her ships took position above the city where billions of aliens lived. Her weapons could turn the entire planet into molten rock with a single command. She had the power to do to them what they had done to Earth. "Commander," her second-in-command said quietly. "Your orders?" Nari stared at the planet below, thinking of Earth's blue oceans and green forests, thinking of the billions of humans who had died screaming as their world burned, thinking of 3,000 years of exile and pain. But she also thought of the human children who had been rescued from alien laboratories. Children who had been born into slavery but chose freedom when given the chance. Children who proved that humans could be better than their enemies. "Target military installations only," she ordered. "Civilian areas are off limits. We are not the Council. We do not murder innocents." Across the galaxy, the war raged for 3 months. Human forces struck with surgical precision, destroying military assets while sparing civilian populations. The Council's response was chaotic and desperate, their commanders unable to adapt to humanity's unconventional tactics. The turning point came when a human strike team captured Admiral Threx himself. The proud Velkari commander was brought before Admiral Hyunsu in chains, his yellow eyes filled with rage and humiliation. "You think you have won?" Threx snarled. "But killing me will change nothing. There are millions more like me who will never stop hunting your kind." Hyunsu studied the alien who had orchestrated humanity's near extinction. "You're right about one thing. Killing you would change nothing. That is why you will live to see what comes next." "What do you mean?" "You will live to see the galaxy that humans build. You will see your people free from the fear and hatred that you taught them. You will see proof that we are better than you ever imagined." Threx laughed bitterly. "Impossible. Humans are destroyers. I have studied your history. You make war on your own kind." "Yes," Hyunsu admitted. "We fought each other on Earth. But 3,000 years in the dark taught us something important. The greatest enemy of humanity is not other species. It is the darkness inside ourselves." The Admiral leaned forward, his eyes blazing with conviction. "We survived by becoming better than we were. We will rule by being better than you are." 3 years had passed since the new dawn had awakened from its long journey. During that time, humans had been very busy. They built new ships, trained new soldiers, and most importantly, they sent spies into the galaxy. Engineer Taemin looked exactly like a Velkari warrior as he walked through the busy streets of Korath VII, one of the most important military worlds in the galaxy. His skin was green and scaly, his eyes were yellow, and he had the proud bearing of the ruling species. But under his fake skin, he was completely human. The biomodification technology had taken years to perfect. Human scientists had studied alien DNA samples collected during the Old War. They learned how to change human bodies to look like any species in the galaxy. The changes were painful and took months to complete, but they worked perfectly. "The shipyard security is weaker than we thought." Taemin spoke quietly into his hidden communicator. "Their patrol schedules have not changed in 50 years. They are lazy and comfortable." On the other side of the galaxy, Young Hee was playing a very different role. She appeared to be a Thaylan diplomat, with pale blue skin and long white hair. She attended fancy parties and political meetings, listening to the gossip and secrets of the powerful. The Thaylan were known for being peaceful and wise, so no one suspected that Young Hee was actually gathering information about military plans and political weaknesses. She smiled and nodded as alien leaders complained about their problems, never knowing she was memorizing every detail. The Council is not as united as they pretend to be, Young He reported during her secret communication time. The Velkari treat the other species like servants. Many of them are getting tired of being ordered around. Back on the New Dawn, Spy Master Kehoe studied all the reports coming in from his agents. His job was to find aliens who might help humans when the war began. It was dangerous work because one mistake could expose their entire network. Kehoe had been born on the ship, like most humans his age. But he had studied the old records about Earth, learning about human history and culture. He knew that humans had once been friends with some alien species before the war began. "Sir, we have made contact with a group of Zephyrians on the Outer Rim," reported one of his assistants. "They still remember trading with Earth. They are angry about what the Council did." The Zephyrians were a peaceful species that looked like tall, thin birds. Before the war, they had enjoyed human art and music. When the Council destroyed Earth, many Zephyrians had protested. Some had even been punished for speaking against the genocide. "Good," Kehoe said. "Send them supplies and weapons. But be careful. If the Velkari find out, they will kill every Zephyrian they can find." While his spies worked in the shadows, Scout Han Newell was exploring the ruins of the old human colonies. Her job was to find anything that the aliens had missed, any clue that might help in the coming war. She landed her invisible ship on the planet that used to be called New Sydney. Once 2 million humans had lived there. Now it was empty except for Velkari mining equipment and guard posts. Hanuel walked through the ruins of human cities, her heart breaking at what she saw. Children's toys buried in rubble, melted statues of human heroes. Gardens where human families once grew earth flowers, now filled with alien weeds. But in the ruins of the old government building, she found something that made her blood run cold. "Admiral, you need to see this," she transmitted to the New Dawn. "I am sending the data now." The files she had found were written in Velkari military code, but human computers had learned to read all alien languages. What they revealed was horrible beyond imagination. The Velkari had not just killed humans during the war. They had captured thousands of human soldiers and civilians. They had taken human DNA and used it to create hybrid warriors. For 3,000 years, they had been breeding human alien soldiers to serve as their most elite troops. Even worse, some of the captured humans were still alive, kept in secret facilities used for experiments, their children taken and raised as Velkari warriors. Pure-blood Earth humans, the last connection to the original homeworld, trapped in alien laboratories. When Admiral Hyunsu saw the files, his face turned white with rage. The meeting room on the New Dawn fell silent as the leaders absorbed this terrible news. "They have been using our people as breeding stock," General Wu Jin said quietly. His hands were shaking with anger. For 3,000 years, Dr. Do Yun studied the genetic data with professional calm, but her eyes were cold as ice. "The hybrid soldiers have enhanced strength and speed. They are being used as the Velkari's personal guard units. But sir," she paused, "they still have human DNA. They might remember something of who they really are." Captain Yoon-ji slammed her fist on the table. "We have to save them. We cannot leave our people in those places. It will expose our entire operation," warned Kehoe. "If we attack those facilities, the Council will know we are here. We will lose the advantage of surprise." The room erupted in arguments. Some wanted to rescue the prisoners immediately. Others insisted they should stick to the original plan and attack the Council's main forces first. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Admiral Hyunsu raised his hand for silence. 60 years ago, my grandfather told me something his grandfather had told him, a message from the last president of Earth, spoken as the planet burned. He said, "We are human. We do not leave our own behind." The Admiral looked around the room at his officers and friends. "We came here for revenge. But revenge means nothing if we lose our humanity in the process. We will modify our plans. We will save our people first. Then we will make the Council pay for what they have done." Young He raised a concern. "Sir, what about the hybrid soldiers? They have human DNA, but they have been raised as aliens. They might fight against us." It was a hard question with no easy answer. These hybrid warriors had human blood, but they had been trained to serve the enemy. Some might join humanity when they learned the truth. Others might stay loyal to the only life they had ever known. "We will give them a choice," Hyunsu decided. "We will tell them who they really are and let them decide their own fate. That is what makes us different from the Council. We believe in freedom." Taemin's voice came through the communication system from deep in Velkari space. Sir, I have located one of the facilities. It is heavily guarded, but I think we can get inside. Then that is where we start, the Admiral replied. Send the coordinates to our strike teams. It is time to remind the galaxy that humans protect their own. As the meeting ended and the officers went to their duties, Dr. Do-Yun stayed behind to speak with the Admiral privately. Sir, there is something else. The genetic samples show that the aliens have been trying to create super soldiers using human DNA, but they do not understand human genetics as well as they think. Many of their experiments have failed. What are you saying? I am saying that when we reveal ourselves, when we show them what real humans can do, it will be even more shocking than we planned. They have been playing with shadows and calling them dangerous. They have never seen the real thing. Admiral Hyun-soo smiled grimly. 3,000 years of evolution in the dark had made humans into something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. Good, he said. Let them underestimate us. It will be the last mistake they ever make. The massive ship New Dawn drifted silently through the empty space between galaxies. It had been traveling for 3,000 years, carrying the last humans alive. The ship was so large that entire cities existed inside its metal walls. 50 million people lived there, but none of them had ever seen Earth. Admiral Hyun-soo walked through the command center, his gray hair reflecting the blue lights from the control panels. He was old, but his eyes were sharp and angry. Today was different from other days. Today, the ship's computers had detected something important. Sir, the long-range sensors have found what we were looking for, said Dr. Do-Yun, the ship's chief scientist. She was younger than the Admiral, with quick hands that moved across her keyboard. The energy signatures match our records. The Galactic Council is still there. Hyun-soo nodded slowly. For 3,000 years, humans had been hiding in the dark space between galaxies. They had fled when the Galactic Council destroyed Earth. The Council had said humans were too dangerous to live. They had turned Earth into burning rock and killed billions of people. Show me, Hyun-soo said. The main screen lit up with images from their spy drones. The drones had traveled ahead of the ship, sneaking into the galaxy where humans once lived. What they saw made everyone in the command center angry. The galaxy looked peaceful. Beautiful planets with blue skies and green forests, huge cities floating in space, advanced ships moving between stars. The alien races that had destroyed Earth were living happy lives. They had forgotten about humans completely. They think we are all dead, said Captain Yoon-ji, the ship's best fighter pilot. She had short black hair and scars on her hands from training. They stopped watching for us decades ago. Do-Yun pulled up more data on her screen. Their technology has not improved much. They became lazy after winning the war. But she smiled coldly. We have been preparing. 3,000 years in the dark had changed humans. They had built new weapons, new ships, new ways to fight. Every child born on the ship learned to be a warrior. Every scientist worked to make humans stronger. Every engineer built better tools for war. The ship's AI spoke in a calm voice. It had been programmed with the memories of Earth's last days. Admiral, should I activate the war protocols? Hyun-soo was quiet for a long moment. He thought about his great-grandmother, who had died fighting to save the last human ships. He thought about Earth, now a dead rock floating in space. He thought about 3,000 years of pain and anger. Captain Yoon-ji, he said finally, prepare your fastest ship. We need to see what happened to our home. Yoon-ji saluted. Yes, sir. When do we leave? Tonight. 2 days later, Yoon-ji's stealth ship entered the solar system where Earth used to be. What she saw made her sick. The planet that had given birth to humanity was gone. In its place was a ball of melted rock, still glowing red from ancient fires. The moon was cracked in half. Mars had been mined until it was just a shell. Worse, alien ships were using the solar system as a training ground. Young Velkari pilots practiced shooting at the remains of human space stations. They laughed as they destroyed the last pieces of human history. They turned our home into a playground, Yoon-ji whispered into her radio. Her hands shook with anger as she recorded everything. But she saw something else that made her hope. The Velkari ships were slow and clumsy. Their weapons were old designs. Their pilots were not very good. The Galactic Council had become weak while humans had become strong. She flew closer to the largest alien base, a space station built from the bones of human cities. Her ship was invisible to their sensors, wrapped in technology the Council had never seen. She listened to their communications and recorded their patrol routes. They have no idea we are here, she reported back to the New Dawn. They are not ready for us. When Yunji returned, Admiral Hyun-soo called a meeting of all the ship's leaders. The main hall was packed with humans who had waited their whole lives for this moment. Generals, scientists, engineers, and ordinary people who remembered the old stories about Earth. Hyun-soo stood at the front of the room. Behind him was a holographic image of Earth as it used to be, with blue oceans and white clouds. Next to it was an image of what Earth looked like now, a burning wasteland. My people, he began, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. For 3,000 years we have lived in the dark. We have been patient. We have grown strong. We have never forgotten what was taken from us. The crowd was silent, listening to every word. The aliens who destroyed our world think we are extinct. They live in peace while our ancestors lie in unmarked graves. They use our solar system as a place to play war games. They have forgotten that humans ever existed. Anger rippled through the crowd like fire. But we remember, Hyun-soo continued, his voice getting louder. We remember every city they burned, every ship they destroyed, every child they killed. We carry the memory of 6 billion souls who died screaming as their world ended. People began to stand up, their fists clenched. Our ancestors died to give us a chance. They fought knowing they would lose just so a few ships could escape into the dark. They made us promise to survive, to grow strong, to come back. The Admiral's eyes blazed with 3,000 years of collected rage. Today I tell you the truth our great-grandparents died to protect. The Galactic Council did not destroy Earth because we were primitive. They did not kill us because we were violent. They feared us because we were advancing too fast. We were becoming too strong. In a few hundred years we would have been more powerful than any of them. The crowd roared with anger and pain. They tried to cut down the tree before it could grow tall. But trees have deep roots. We are the roots that survived in the dark soil. We are the new growth that comes after the fire. And now, he paused, letting the silence build. Now we are ready to reclaim our place among the stars. The hall erupted in cheers and shouts. People cried and hugged each other. After 3,000 years of exile, humanity was finally going home. Prepare the war fleets, Hyun-soo commanded. Send messages to our spy networks. Begin production of the new weapons. The Galactic Council wanted to see how dangerous humans could be. He smiled coldly as the crowd chanted his name. They are about to find out.